This edition of the Tech Savvy Interpreter is brought to you by Think Interpreting. Join interpreting service and technology providers from around the globe at the 5th anniversary edition of Think Interpreting at Gala's Language of Business Conference, March 13th through the 16th, 2018, in beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. Don't delay. Early bird registration ends January 31st. For more information, go to gala-global.org. Welcome to this edition of the Tech Savvy Interpreter. I'm Barry Slaughter Olsen. We're going to take a quick look at one of the first wearable, in-ear, speech-to-speech translation devices available on the consumer electronics market. It's called the Lingmo Translate One2One. You know, these translation devices tend to create tremendous media buzz when first introduced, with many headlines heralding the arrival of the universal translator. The subtext of most of these short pieces is that human interpreters are no longer needed. But is that really the case? I've written an extensive review of the Translate One2One in the January 2018 edition of the Toolbox Journal. But for this video, I'm going to focus on some general impressions and let you listen to the Translate One2One in action, so you can draw your own conclusions. Let's get started. The Translate One2One concept goes like this. You wear an earpiece over one ear when you want to talk with someone whose language you don't speak. The other person also wears an earpiece as well. Or you can pair your earpiece with a Bluetooth speaker and have the translations amplified that way, so more than one person at a time can hear them. When it's your turn to speak, you tap the earpiece with your finger and speak normally. This is a test of automatic translation. And then you touch it again.
C'est un test de traduction automatique.
So there you go. That was translating into French. But as you probably noticed, I couldn't really speak more than 4 seconds before the earpiece would beep again automatically and start the translation process. So all the sentences had to be short or at least cut into several chunks. There are basically 5 steps the Translate One2One earpiece has to go through. First, it uses speech recognition to process the speech. Then, it converts that speech to text. After that, it runs the text through the IBM Watson machine translation algorithm. It then produces the translated text in the target language. And finally, it uses speech synthesis to pronounce the translated text in the earpieces. The person you want to talk to who speaks the other language wears that other earpiece, and they go through the same steps when he or she wants to reply. Currently, the One2One supports translation between any combination of Arabic, Mandarin Chinese, English, both UK and US variants, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Brazilian Portuguese, and Spanish. Like every other speech-to-speech translator I have seen, the Lingmo device requires a connection to the internet, either through Wi-Fi or mobile data networks. One of the things that attracted me to the Translate One2One earpiece is that it did not have to be tethered to a cell phone, like Google Pixel Buds or the Waverly Labs Pilot. To do this, Lingmo just put the mobile phone inside the earpiece. So the process is the same, but the presentation is different. The earpieces also work with Wi-Fi, but Lingmo notes that this will slow down the reaction time of the earpieces. The second earpiece does not connect directly to the internet. Rather, it uses Bluetooth to connect to the mobile or Wi-Fi enabled earpiece. The second earpiece sends that data back to the first, which in turn sends it to the Lingmo IBM Watson servers for processing. Once processed, the data is sent back to the first earpiece, then relayed back to the second through the Bluetooth connection. In essence, the second earpiece is tethered to the first. Wait times for translations usually take between 4 to 6 seconds. Definitely not real time, but speedy nonetheless considering all the steps the data have to go through. The speech recognition for the languages I was able to check, English, German, Portuguese, and Spanish, was good. It isn't perfect, but I didn't expect it to be. It did struggle with proper names and also with foreign words and phrases that you have to pronounce in your language when you're conversing. Things like addresses, place names, and as you'll see, names of foods. Wait until you see how it translated the Mexican dish tacos al pastor from English into Spanish. The speech synthesis was quite impressive in the languages I tested. The synthetic voice was clear and easy to understand. The US English was a standard Midwestern accent. The UK English, like a BBC broadcaster. The Spanish had a very strong peninsular accent. And the Portuguese was notably Brazilian, even though the earpiece displays the Portuguese flag. And any Portuguese speaker will surely note this discrepancy between the accent and the flag immediately. Some may even take offense. It's a localization fail for sure. I spent a couple of weeks testing and working with the One2One earpieces to learn how to use them. I created several use case appropriate dialogues to test the earpieces to see if they would deliver as promised. The dialogues included conversations with taxi drivers, hotel clerks, doctors, and even with local police. Let's take a look at one of those simple dialogues between an English-speaking traveler and a Spanish-speaking doctor in Mexico. I'll let you be the judge of how well the One2One earpieces performed. If you don't speak Spanish, don't worry. I provided transcriptions of the original dialogue, the professional translations of that original dialogue, the machine translations of the original dialogue, and the back translations of the machine translations. So you can compare all those for yourself. Let's take a look. Buenos días. ¿Por qué ha venido a verme hoy?
Good days because it has come to me today.
I have stomach cramps and can't keep any food down.
Tengo calambres estomacales y cat.
Dígamelo otra vez, por favor. No entendí.
Tell me again, please do not understand.
I have stomach cramps and I can't keep any food down.
Tengo calambres estomacales y no puedo mantener una alimentación baja.
¿Cuándo comenzaron los síntomas? ¿Qué ha comido y bebido desde que llegó a México?
Began when the symptoms has eaten and drunk, since he arrived in Mexico.
Last night I had a couple of beers and some tacos al pastor at the company party.
Anoche tuve un par de cervezas y algunos tacos de marihuana en la tienda de la compañía.
Creo que sufre de una leve intoxicación. Sugiero que no coma nada picante por unos días.
I think suffers from a slight intoxication. Suggests that point nothing not spicy for a few days.
Thank you, doctor.
Gracias, doctora.
So there you have it. The software appears to have no ability to recognize and process intonation for meaning. As a result, most questions are translated as declarative sentences. And this is problematic because the most likely use case will be to ask questions to solicit information. Words that have multiple possible meanings are frequently mistranslated, not to mention the marijuana tacos translation fail. Add that to the 4-second time limitation, which allows for almost zero context for the artificial intelligence to work from, and the whole setup isn't very practical. Lingmo claims that Translate One2One is 85% accurate. But what does that even mean? Is 85% of each sentence accurate and 15% totally wrong? Or are the translations completely accurate 85% of the time? I went through the Lingmo website and the instruction manual, but found no basis for that statistic anywhere. It is unclear whether it is based on BLUE scores, bilingual evaluation understudy scores, or some other specified company metric. To sum it all up, the one-to-one earpieces struggled with every scenario I tested. Machine translation was not the only problem. The earpieces most often failed due to technical glitches like the Bluetooth connection failing between the earpieces or the app crashing midway through a conversation. Trying to fit in what you wanted to say in 4-second chunks wasn't all that easy either. The target market for the Lingmo Translate One2One is world travelers who need to communicate as they go from one country to the next. That is the right market for this kind of consumer electronics. People who need reliable translations of basic everyday phrases in situations where finding an interpreter just isn't practical. Unfortunately, Lingmo severely underdelivers in its own target market on all counts. It has serious product design flaws, a frustrating user experience, and only produces marginally acceptable to bad translations. So what's the bottom line? Well, for the world traveler looking for an in-ear translation device, I recommend waiting until Translate One2One improves substantially in every area that I've mentioned. For professional interpreters working in legal, medical, conference, and other settings, don't expect this technology to take away your job anytime soon. But the demand for quick, easy speech-to-speech translation will only continue to grow, and this technology will continue to evolve and improve. Thanks for watching. If you found this content useful and interesting, please give it a thumbs up and maybe even leave a comment. And be sure to subscribe to the InterpretAmerica YouTube channel so you won't miss a single episode of the Tech Savvy Interpreter. Until next time.